At the outdoor opener, it was shades of the previous season. Jett Lawrence may have missed the last 13 rounds of Supercross, but outdoors, he hasn't skipped a beat. For the 8th time in 8 tries, Jett is victorious at Pala, the site of his first ever national win in 2020. Seems like yesterday, seems like a long time ago. Since 2023, his 450 debut, Jett is 6 for 6 in Moto wins at the season opener. For the second year in a row, he was joined on the podium by big brother Hunter. Chase Sexton, the defending champion, Sexton like maybe never before, tossing his goggles midway through the very first lap, trying to build a gap before pulling off for eye protection, only to apparently find a false neutral in the air over the relatively simple finish line tabletop and being pile driven by his motorcycle into Southern California soil. And though it was Chase who had the wind knocked out of him, that sound you heard was the air escaping from the room. Just like that, Sexton's title defense was effectively over. 50 points down on opening day. And one wonders if we'll ever see him line up on a KTM again. The Lawrence-Sexton battle for the title was over before it even began. Instead of Chase, it was the legend Eli Tomac, nipping at Jett's heels in the second Moto. That, at least, portending great battles to come. The oft-ignored for the outdoors, recently crowned Supercross champion Cooper Webb showed the fight and tenacity some have forgotten from earlier outdoor campaigns, only to have his engine expire in the waning moments of Moto 1. Just like that, the top 2 in SMX points were out. Webb returned for a credible 7th in the second Moto, but at the end of the day, the podium was comprised of 3 riders who had missed more than half of Supercross. The season opener done and dusted, the traveling circus files up the 5 to North Central California, to the most storied and longest-running venue of them all. Predating the existence of Supercross, or even the Outdoor National Series, Hangtown's roots are planted in the turn of the 70s. Founded in March 1968, the Dirt Diggers North Motorcycle Club embarked on a plan to present a motocross competition that would bring top riders to Northern California. As a result, the Hangtown Motocross Classic was born. The Hangtown Classic is the oldest event in American motocross and predates the first season of Nationals in 1974 by a full 5 years, with the first race being held in 1969. As an antecedent to Jett Lawrence once again sweeping the Outdoor Series opener, it's fitting enough that Team Honda rider Billy Grossi swept both motos for the first ever Pro Motocross National at Hangtown in 1974. The track has been a mainstay of the national schedule every year since, save 2020, when California was closed for business. Though there has actually been 2 Hangtown racetracks. Originally, the race was held near Placerville, a gold rush startup known as Hangtown. In the first race, in 1969, Larry Mulock, the Professor Gary Bailey, and the immortal Dick Mann shared the winner's podium and a $600 pro purse. Legend says that many a noose was stretched in Placerville. Frontier justice. The all-night after-parties in the sand pits are also legendary, sometimes centered around Saturday night mechanics races. 250cc Bultaco motors wedged into mini-bike frames. And always including booze, bonfires, and the other antics early 70 racers got into. By 1978, in fact, the race had pretty much worn out its welcome with the residents of the sleepy hillsides of Placerville. And the Dirt Diggers put together a permanent facility at Prairie City in Rancho Cordova for the 1979 race, where the track remains today. It is akin to Southern California's Glen Helen in one significant way. Like the Glen, it is also one of the most overridden patches of dirt on the planet. And even after a good prep, you'll be bending rims on square edges hammered into the surface for years. Efforts have been made that improve the track temporarily, with everything from truckloads of sand to rice hulls added to the soil in an attempt to soften the surface. But a track is what it is, based on where it's built, and Hangtown's hard, slick base always returns. In the early 90s, after a Yamaha test session at the facility, Damon Bradshaw was asked by one of the track workers what could be done to improve the track. Bradshaw famously replied, "Put a closed sign out front." Hurricane Bob Hanna won his first 250 Hangtown in 1978, then repeated at the new facility in 1979 as the defending 250cc national champion. Hanna had actually taken his first win in the 125 class at Hangtown 2 years previous, in 1976, and only his fourth ever national event he competed in. The first race ever held in Rancho Cordova is remembered best not for Hanna's win, but the events in its aftermath. A privateer Mako rider named James Rhoda from Chico, California, with a cashier's check for $3,500, claimed Marty Tripe's works bike from Honda. A legal move, according to the AMA rulebook of the time. There's far more to this story than we've time for, but the short version is Cycle Magazine was allowed by Rotor to completely disassemble and photograph the Works RC250. And the claiming rule was subsequently quickly abolished by the AMA. 10 years after Hanna's first Hangtown victory, Ricky Johnson took his fourth and final Hangtown win in 1988 of an epic season-long battle with Kawasaki's Jeff Ward.
In Gainesville, at the first 250cc National of the season, Team Honda's Rick Johnson won the opening moto, while Jeff Ward finished second. In Moto number 2, the win went to Ward, while the best Johnson could do was finish third. Ward took the overall win, and with round 1 of the 6-event series completed, was on top of the standings by a slim 2-point margin. Next, the two are headed for Sacramento, California, at the Dirt Diggers North Motorcycle Club famed Hangtown. Team Honda's defending 250cc national champion, Rick Johnson, took over the series point lead by winning both motos. Jeff Ward, however, stayed well within reach of Johnson by finishing second twice.
RJ won the battle at Hangtown, but Ward would win the war. DNF in the second moto at the Lake Sugar Tree National torpedoed Johnson's title hopes. The very next season, Johnson would break his wrist at the season opener in Gainesville. Ricky somehow overcame the injury to win one last 250 race at the Gatorback National the following year, but was never the same again and retired soon thereafter. The 1991 race is remembered as the sloppiest, muddiest national ever ran, with rivers of water carrying hay bales across the track during the first motos, and the second motos canceled altogether. The The legendary John Dowd used his northeastern prowess in the mud to win his first ever national. While DNFs were the most common result, Suzuki's Mike LaRocco was the only other factory rider to even finish. Team Honda rider Jean-micheal Bell managed to stay afloat and take second place overall.
The Dirt Diggers Motorcycle Club became the Mud Daubers MC as club members tried valiantly to drain their racetrack. Pit crews did their part to reroute the torrents of water, and determined fans stood their ground. But the riders feared the worst.
It's going to be real tough. I don't think it's going to be any different for a guy that's in second place than fourth place. He's going to have a guy in front of him throwing mud and sliding around, so the only guy that's going to have the advantage is the guy up front. Of course, only one guy can be there.
You know, it's hard to say. It's going to be so muddy and ruddy. It's just a strong man's going to survive, the guy that goes out and rides the smartest.
The fact is, the good guys didn't want to ride at all, but the AMA wouldn't cancel unless absolutely necessary.
If we overreacted and the rain stopped and it cleared up, we're going to feel stupid. If we could have got a single moto in or whatever.
Let's move on to the 250cc class. You heard Jeff Stanton a moment ago say the man who rides smart will win. Well, Jean-micheal Bale was smart enough to come to the line with some very big numbers all over himself. He'd obviously raced in the mud before and wanted to be sure the scorers could identify him. JMB slithered and slipped along in the lead, while most of his championship rivals drowned their engines within the first couple of laps and ended up pushing their machines back to the start-finish line. Meanwhile, another New Englander, John Dowd, Chicopee, Massachusetts, caught Bale and took the lead, only to crash and fall behind again. He battled back a second time, repassed Bale, who by now was convinced Dowd was a lapper, and Dowd went on to win his first ever AMA National. Bale and LaRocco were tops among the factory team riders, and in this case, the standings are also.
In 2004, the venue would receive a complete overhaul, with a semi-new layout, a new starting line and finish, and vastly improved spectator amenities. In 2007, Ricky Carmichael's final abbreviated outdoor season, an epic battle with James Stewart, ensued at the season opener.
James Stewart sliding into turn one to take the whole shot.
And it looked like Tim Ferry, the 15 on the other Cowie, was right up there also. Michael Lessie with a great start.
Look at Stewart go off the course. He's dropping way back, maybe even out of the top 10.
That's not how you want to start the season. You get that whole shot, you stay nice and clean. Dirt Diggers have done an awesome job of preparing the course here today. It's one of the best Hangtown courses I've ever seen.
Let's see what happened with Stewart.
Stewart gets a little sideways off the drop-off and misses his line, hits a huge break and bump, gets the rear wheel off the ground, and look at that, he just keeps it inside of the banners.
Taking a look from high above here as Stewart continues to work his way back up towards the front.
When he went off the track, stuck back in about 8th or 10th. Hasn't been but half a lap, and he's already up into 3rd. Stewart, I'm feeling a little sense of urgency because I just had the whole shot, and now I just gave the greatest motocross champion of all time, I gave him an advantage by letting him by on the first lap. Stewart, I believe, really has something to prove this season in the motocross championship.
Watching from a Honda Skycam, the one thing you don't want to do is give Ricky Carmichael any kind of an edge because he'll pounce all over that, and he's doing that right now, trying to open up a bit of a lead over James Stewart. Supercross. Oh, look at this. Down goes Carmichael. Right out of the lead. Oh, he's just going to hang on. Stewart's right alongside of him now.
And Stewart's showing a lot of patience. Didn't panic when he went down, but has got the wheel on him, maybe. Right here, Carmichael's got the lead.
Oh, Carmichael again with a huge bobble.
Huge mistake, and it's just strength and fitness is how he was able to keep that bike on two wheels. Maybe a little luck involved there. But see, if I'm Stewart and I caught that, I know that, okay, Ricky might be a little bit rusty at this point. Well, Ricky's always said that the harder you work, the luckier that you are. And I think right there, he definitely proved his point.
James Stewart, right on his tail.
These riders very impressive at this point. So patient both of these champions are, and And they race each other so close, so many years. They know each other's strengths. They know each other's weaknesses. So they're going to let this play out here. They're playing a little chess game right now.
Classic, the season opener for the outdoor season, and James Stewart making the move on Ricky Carmichael.
Nice move up the inside there. Carmichael trying to get back through on his inside, but you see Stewart just over-jumped that double coming into that bowl turn. Really aggressive. He wants that lead. He wants to get out of it. You can see him just carrying momentum on the left side. Look how far he over-jumps at, about 30 feet too far. And Carmichael doesn't do anything crazy, just says, okay, you've got the line, go ahead and take it. I'm not going to panic here. It's going to be a long day. Riders know that, you know, second is as good as a first at this point. It's the second motor that's really going to count.
Here he comes. Carmichael making a run at Stewart. No doubt about it. Here they come down the hill. The crowd on their feet.
One last charge. There's not a lot of room to pass here just before the finish.
Stewart to the checkered flag wins Moto number 1 here at the Honda Hangtown Classic. Carmichael will finish second. They'll take a quick break and line him up for Moto number 2. Ricky Carmichael is in the lead still.
Nice comfortable lead at this point. If Stewart has dropped back to the third position, that's going to leave a huge lead for Ricky Carmichael.
This whole season, he's not going to let this thing go away with just one race. He knows Ricky's not going to be here for the whole season. Ricky on his final lap. Ricky Carmichael going to put the number 4 on the top step of the podium one more time here in Hangtown. This will be his 5th Hangtown win as he makes his way down the hill to the cheers of the crowd.
And the crowd is definitely responding. Just amazing for him to come back and win the overall again.
Ricky Carmichael wins the Honda Hangtown Classic. Well, the stock car racer came back to run a little motocross and ends up winning the curtain raiser to the 2007 season.
Stewart won the first moto, but Ricky won again on the day with a 2-1 score. Despite winning the next 4 nationals in a row, RC did retire as promised, clearing the way for Stewart's first 450 title. But then Stewart blew out his knee in Meshuggah, and Yamaha's Grant Langston would be champion at year's end. Though we generally eschew the small bore class, it just doesn't fit the format or time constraints. One would be remiss not to mention Eli Tomac's first ever national win, the 250 in 22. In his first race ever, the Hangtown.
Chaos. Kennard makes a bunch of mistakes, and for the first time on the map, the 243, the rookie Eli Tomac moves up to third.
And it was surprising everyone, his drive through the pack. He just kept pushing forward and just kept charging. Eli Tomac out front with the possibility to win his first ever pro national motocross. Okay, the big finish right here is going to come from number 243. Eli Tomac, who's still one of the fastest riders on the track, even though it looked like he kind of missed his berm right there. 2 laps to go. Right now, look at that, nothing better than the checker, except for the checkered flag, then the white flag, 1 to go for Eli Tomac.
Fresh out of the amateur ranks, won the Aaron Artiques Loretta Lynn Championship last year. And as much as people expected from Eli Tomac coming in here, maybe open some eyes, turn some heads, top 5, maybe a podium, I don't know if people expected a victory.
2 turns to go, and the son of John and Kathy Tomac is going to do it.
How about this? In his first ever pro race, Eli Tomac wins at Hangtown. An unbelievable performance for that young man, 17 years old, out of Colorado, and he has conquered the best riders in the world.
And then 5 years later, and 10 years gone, one of the most dominating rides of all time at Hangtown or any track.
Looks like Dungey on the inside with Chad Reed right next to him, but Tomac sweeping in from third to first spot. The official motorsport.com hole shot will go to Dungey, and Weston Pike able to make some moves. He's up to third now.
Man, Cole Seeley had a good Supercross season, was coming on strong, but this guy's been phenomenal today. He has been on rails in a very, very long time.
Dungey going to try to hang with him here, the number 5 and second. Pike third, Blake Baggett up to fourth. Running pretty well right now, but nobody running as well as the Geico Honda band. Eli Tomac, who has a 3.8-second lead. But now they've got into lap traffic. He got held up in a few spots, and Ryan Dungey took what was once a 4.7-second lead down to 2.5.
But even without some of the traffic, Dungey, when he has a clean lap, takes a few tenths off every time, and then it seems like he might make a little mistake. It is just under 3 seconds. And we'll see Ryan Dungey coming into the picture, and there he is. So there is no one between him and them. Well, we see
Tomac is lapped all the way through.
Tomac is absolutely tearing the field apart. This is considered still a family sport. Don't get me wrong, Eli Tomac's got a lot of very, very smart individuals around him as he just jumps at makes it look so easy.
Ian Trey Kennard and Cole Seeley had in Supercross, clearly moving forward in Motocross. It's going to be good too. Eli Tomac dominates the first moto of the season. It's a Kawasaki. Chad Reed's going to lead him in. Who's going to get the official hole shot? Eli Tomac steals it as well, but it's Tomac to the point position again.
He snuck that one out from Chad Reed, that hole shot. Tomac
on the track.
Lands right on that.
Up front, Eli Tomac making even the 150-footer look easy. And he has 15 seconds over your two-time champion, Ryan Dungey.
Lethal, because he can do this kind of stuff. As we take a look back, that is not your second place rider, that is a lapper.
Wow.
So the gap that Tomac has right now, astronomical.
Second year for him in the 450 class, and he missed half of the Supercross races last year with injury, and just about half of the motocross races last year. Dominant performance. A minute 11-second lead over Dungey. We're going to be checking the record books. This might be one of the most dominant wins we've ever seen in the 450 class.
I've been looking at the lap times. He's been averaging over 6 seconds a lap quicker than anyone on the track. That is astronomical.
See there, that's how far up in the field he has gone. He lapped into the top 10 of Moto 1. He dominates Moto 2. Eli Tomac has already had a chance to get cleaned up, smile for the camera, get the hat on. He had a minute-plus lead.
And perhaps the most anticipated motocross battle since James Stewart moved up a class to challenge Ricky Carmichael. Jett got the best of a legend, thus enhancing his own claim to legacy in the history of the sport. And Tomac showed that the old dog still has a lot of fight left. A year after Jett and Hunter went 1-2, Jett and Hunter went 1-3. Split by a legend. Could Tomac do as well, or even better, in Rancho Cordova, the site of his own first national win and his first pro race ever, and many wins since? Even more than the North Central California weather, it's going to run hot in Hangtown.